What's up, guys? I'm gonna try to make a video that I don't have to edit. So in order to do that, I have to have no time where I'm not saying anything, or like sitting here thinking, and then I think of something, and then I say it. Guys, there's only two ways that you can do good in the world. The first way is you're trying to be good enough. You're trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. When you realize what Jesus did for you, I mean, when you really realize it, because if you haven't yet, and trust me, you would know if you had, when you realize what he did for you, everything is lifted off of you. And all that, this right here, all that stuff, I'm gonna try to explain what that stuff is, briefly. There's two different ways you can do good in the world. One of those ways is you trying to lift that burden yourself. Because the burden is everything you feel that you've done wrong. It's fighting an uphill battle, trying to be good enough, trying to be the person that Christ died on the cross for. You're trying to make his sacrifice not in vain. You're trying to pay it back to him. And don't get me wrong, it's not about you don't do good things in the world. We just do them. It's what it is where are you doing good things in the world? From where in your heart are you doing that from? Because if you're trying to do all this stuff for people, for places, build corporations or whatever, help the homeless, the people who are in jail, the widows, the fatherless, the orphans, preaching the good news, all of those things. If you're doing all those things because you're trying to earn grace, and trust me, you can be trying to earn grace without thinking that you're doing it, without actually thinking you're doing it. Trust me, you can do that. You can be blind to you trying to earn God's gift. You can totally not even know that you're doing it. You're trying to do all these things, do good for people, do good for those around you, and spread the good news and all this stuff because you're trying to make up for something you did in the past. Make up for something you did to someone in the past. But when your eyes are opened to the depth of what Christ did, guys, that's the reason he came here and did that. Because the guys in the Old Testament, Solomon, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Israel, all of Israel, they would do these sacrifices. Jesus said it. They would do these sacrifices, but their conscience, their conscience wasn't cleared. They'd it isn't easy to explain. They would do these sacrifices, and they would have a type of faith that they were clean for a whole nother year. And the high priest would go in and offer these sacrifices and take upon, he was like a proxy, he would take upon the sins of all the congregation, kind of. Not in the nature of Christ, because he was perfect. So if he's perfect and you sacrifice a perfect sacrifice, it's certainly going to take care of all of sin, right? If it's perfect, if it's blameless, 100%, if it's perfect, it takes care of all of it. He either took care of all the sin, every bit of it, from start to finish, or he didn't take care of any of it. It's not in between, so don't get trapped in believing that. When you realize that he took it all away, when you realize that you've been accepted, boom, you've made it. You've already made it. Stop doing to try and make it. Accept what he did. you made it. The second way that you can do good in the world is from that place right there. You know you've been accepted. You know the Father loves you. You know that when he sees you, he sees his son, his daughter. And you know that you've been accepted. And we can come boldly to the throne. You don't come to the throne at the great white throne judgment, on Judgment Day. You're not going to be standing there saying, but I did these things, but I built this business that all we did, it was a charity, and all we did was we helped homeless people and we fed them. Or you're not going to say that you raised your kids right, or you went to church every Sunday, or you held a Bible study. You're not going to say that on behalf of why you should enter into the kingdom. You're not going to say that, because none of that stuff, all those things, that they're not going to fall to the ground, because those things carry weight into eternity. Believe me, they do. We have no idea how much weight they carry. But those things won't get you into the kingdom. They won't get you through the gate. What you will say on the great white throne judgment day is your foundation for why you made it is look at what my Savior did for me. Look at what my King did for me. That's what I stand on. Look what he did for me, because your faith is what he did for you, covered you, and made you blameless before the Father. That's it. That right there. And that is the place where you do good in the world, because you know you're accepted. So you just love everybody, and you just want so bad for other people to get that, for other people to see that they're loved, man. They don't have to constantly be beating themselves up. And don't beat your brother up or your sister up for doing something for sinning, for sin. Do not beat them up, because I promise you, you couldn't come close to how badly they beat themselves up. You couldn't come close. You couldn't hold a candle to it, to how badly they beat themselves up for doing those things. Don't you dare hurt them, because they are their own worst critic. We hear that all the time. But rarely, I think, do we actually catch the gravity of that. You are your own worst critic. You will condemn yourself. But when you realize that you've been made clean, Satan can no longer accuse you up here. Because that's what he does. He comes in, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you did this wrong, blah, blah, blah. He comes in here doing that, and he gets you to accuse yourself. He's cast out of heaven. He can't accuse us to the Father anymore. Because why? Christ put his blood on the mercy seat, and that is what speaks to the Father. Satan can no longer do it, but he can. He's on this earth, has been a long time. He is on this earth, and he can speak into your mind and get you to believe these lies and get you to accuse yourself when you try coming to the Father. Like you come to the Father and you're accusing yourself because you've got all these things in your mind that you've done wrong, asking for forgiveness, but not believing. Like you're asking, thinking he's going to say yes or no. We get caught up in that, asking for forgiveness, thinking God's saying yes or no. When you ask for forgiveness, Christ's death and sacrifice either covered all sin or it didn't cover any of it. So when you come and you're asking for forgiveness, you accept that forgiveness. Don't accuse yourself. Hey, heavy for a Friday. I love you guys, okay? It's my wife's birthday, so I'm going to go out and play some board games with her because she loves board games, and I love her very much. Her and I are both 28 now, so that's cool. I love you guys, and have a wonderful Friday, okay? Okay?